Deku gets a new power, and he basically one-punch man's Muscular. We also learned of the new the vest. What's up? It's Truth Hero, and welcome back to another My Hero Academia chapter review. So, Boku no Hero Academia chapter 308 of the manga. Muscular vs. Deku 2.0, although it's not much of a fight here, but the important thing is we learn of a new Vestige's power, that being En, and his quirk, Smokescreen. The chapter opens with Midoriya carrying Shindo Yo after he just saved him from Muscular, with our favorite jacked villain figuring out that this is indeed the kid who beat him last time. I must say, I'm very impressed that Midoriya can carry Shindo all while avoiding Muscular's attacks, who, let's be honest, looks like he hasn't lost a step since he was put into Tartarus and their last battle. So, we know Midoriya has leveled up, that much is a given, especially with this arc being sort of a time skip. It's been about a month since he's left UA, I believe, and he's on his own, but still, very impressive here. Interestingly enough, Muscular talks about how he was just going to rampage and bully some small fries like Shindo, even though, well, we'll see, Shindo actually plays a role in his defeat, and he was content to just maybe knock over some buildings and bully the local citizens, just go ham but not seek out some huge pro hero to beat. Doesn't really sound like the Muscular we know. Sure, we know he likes killing people, but he loves these huge battles. So, interesting. He was just gonna be chill. This was one of his chill days for Muscular. That is until Deku taught this brawny boy a lesson 2.0. Muscular could not just ignore this. He has to take revenge on Deku. Let's have a rematch, Midoriya. Deku returns the injured Shindo to his girlfriend, and she's still so trendy here. What were you thinking going it alone, you cringe lord? Girl, your boyfriend is a literal hero. But I get it, this is how she shows her affection and really concern for Shindo. Shindo and Tatami, they kind of remind me of that couple, like, you guys know that couple that seems like they've been married for 20 years and all they do is roast each other? Like, they're so comfortable with each other that they kind of just exist, and they can say nothing to each other for 3 hours and they're on the same page completely. That's how I view Shindo and Tatami's relationship, and even though they're young, they seem to have this quality, which is cool. I like that. When this exchange happens, Tatami sort of recognizes Midoriya's voice, but can't be sure because of all the smoke Deku is generating. Boys and girls, here we go. Another quirk for Deku. We finally get to meet the mysterious Vestige En, aka the original Best Jeanist, and learn of his quirk Smokescreen, which Deku has been using to control the area that Muscular is in. What do you guys think of this Smokescreen quirk? Was it what you were expecting of this mysterious vestige they call En? I did not think this would be the quirk of Best Jeanist number 1, but I like it. I think it's great that Deku has a more defensive or evasive quirk, and something tactical, and like we'll see in this chapter, En is encouraging Deku to be more tactical. Think, don't rely on quirks and raw power too much. So I'm a huge fan of this. I think it's a good quirk to have in the arsenal. It's not also a stereotypical superpower like Black Whip is Spider-Man and Float is Superman's flight or something. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. Comment down below though, what are your thoughts on Smokescreen? En tells Deku here, you went a bit overboard with the smoke, and now you can't see your enemy as well. Sort of a double-edged sword. Let's not make that mistake. But what's really important here is En tells Deku, you're relying on quirks too much. You value the term quirk too much, and you're relying on one for all too much. Instead, think of quirks as not something you need, but rather as something you use in addition to yourself. Think of quirks as your tools. Don't let the power of one for all use you. Instead, let your body simply use this power to its own advantage. It's still you, these are just some skills you have. I absolutely love this because Deku has always been the nerdy guy studying who never had a quirk. He's always had to use tools quite literally to win in battles. He should remember this instead of thinking about one for all the time and which quirk to use in which situation. And maybe this is the point of Deku's on his own alone arc, him getting back to himself, not relying on one for all or thinking about how to use all these new abilities, but rather him returning to that tenacity he had when he simply had no quirks and had to rely on his brain to make smart calculations in the midst of battle, or using certain tools or his opponent's weaknesses to his advantage. Get back to that mentality so that you're already fighting with yourself and what you can do. The quirks, they just power you up and help you a little bit. Speaking of Deku using quirks as tools, he seems to be carrying some support items. There's this jetpack device that might go as Shimura Nana's float quirk, as well as rope and a radio. I'd say this goes beyond just the iron souls that Deku has for his one-for-all kicks. This is a very different Deku, a very tactical Midoriya, and yet it feels like the original Deku, the throwback Deku who didn't have any quirks and had to use his notebooks to write everything down, and could only use one thing in battle, his brain. So I wonder if Horikoshi will ever show us his thought process behind this and why he has these items and why he made this radical change in mastering one for all and the quirks, if we'll ever get to see that and where he went in this time off. But regardless, even if we don't, just know that this is a smarter Deku. Deku lays out this plan in his mind of using his quirks, his tools, to defeat Muscular. And this is the Deku I want to see. That tactical, tenacious, cunning Deku who's already mapped out and won the fight up here before he's even used these. Also, Danger Sense and Black Whip. Come on, every time I see it, every time we all see it, we just think of one thing. Spider-Man. And I'm okay with that. Deku engages Muscular all according to his quirk plan, and then binds him with Black Whip for a little monologue and heart-to-heart. Imasuji Goto. Is rampaging really your only path in life? Interesting. So Deku, no one else, somehow figured out Muscular's real name, and is attempting to understand him. Really? Does Deku honestly have to take time and try and understand every single enemy he's fighting? I mean, I guess after you do it with Shigaraki, pretty much the most powerful villain in the series, besides All For One, what is Muscular really gonna do to you? And hey, it didn't slow him down in this fight, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about Deku trying to deconstruct his enemy's motives, because sometimes you just need to fight and stop the villain. Alas, Deku asks Muscular why he must rampage and even notes that he's like Shigaraki. He's killed many people, yet inside, something is off and incomplete. I just want blood. Take that therapy talk and GTFO. Muscular doesn't like that Deku has used quote-unquote cheap tricks like Black Whip and Smokescreen to get the upper hand in this fight, and Deku says, well, yes, I know you wanted a powerful fight, but too bad. This is my power. In the end, like we expected, it wasn't much of a fight, and Deku kind of wraps it up with one punch. And by the way, they're sort of fighting in this river area, and there's water. This is going to look amazing animated. But what's really interesting is Muscular actually ends up pulling his tendons while he's using his muscle augmentation quirk, and Deku realizes this pretty early on in the fight when he notices that Muscular doesn't jump directly at him. Muscular was feeling that weakness already. Apparently, Shindo's vibrations really did the trick. Must have misaligned his tendons, and then when he flexed, they were permanently out of place. Which is ironic because I actually have something like that in my shoulder, and it's not going away. But I digress. I'm glad that Shindo actually had an effect on this fight, and we really got to see that, yes, Muscular is powerful, and so is Deku, but really it was a tactical win, and we're getting back to this idea that Deku is not this very, very powerful hero and One Punch Man type guy like All Might. He's a smart hero. He uses his brain to fight before his fists, and that's important. I love this new Deku, because I love the old Deku. I'd really like to discuss and know your opinions on this, but the idea that Deku is finally, he's been trying to do this all along, but finally separating himself from every other user of One For All. Shimura and Nana had a very different style than All Might, and Deku and All Might have completely different styles. Their bodies are different. All Might is a powerhouse. He's your traditional Man of Steel, Superman, and Deku is not. But that's okay. Deku, with these quirks and his use of support items, which that's another interesting topic, he reminds me of the best of Spider-Man and Batman. Spider-Man has danger sense, or the Spidey sense, right? And Batman doesn't have any superpowers. He uses his brains and his tech. And Deku is sort of becoming this perfect amalgamation of both of them. He even kind of looks like he has a dark side with this mask on right now. I love that whole vigilante renegade vibe we're seeing from him. But what do you guys think about Deku using support items? This was interesting to me because, yeah, we know that he has multiple quirks, and obviously he uses his Iron Souls for his shoes to help with his One For All and the toll it takes on his legs and his arms, so he can, direct it into kicks and not, break all his bones. I think that was necessary. But I'm not sure how it's going to play out where he has a jetpack device, or even a cape, or this rope, and maybe the radio was for something else. He was communicating with people, I don't know. But that's very interesting to see that Deku is using just regular everyday items and support items that may or may not have something to do with his quirk. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts, but all in all, I really like the direction that Horikoshi is going with Deku. It's this, I have to strike out on my own arc and find out really what type of hero I am, and now we're seeing the fruits of his labor in learning all the quirks of One For All, but also to learn that these are just tools in your arsenal, and you really are the next generation. It's up to you to find your own style and your own brand of being a hero. Anyway guys, that's what I got for you, but let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about this new and improved and really revamping the vintage Deku as a hero? Also, what do you think about Deku's new power from the mysterious Vestige En, Smokescreen? Will this help Deku in the future? Love to hear your thoughts and your theories. If you like My Hero Academia content and these chapter reviews, consider enrolling at UA today by subscribing. And until next time, hero or villain, plus ultra.